Hello, my friends. Welcome back to a brand new episode of What's Missing in Marketing Today. Today I'm with Tad Hargrave from the opposite side of the world, which is wonderful. Tad and I have known each other for I would say probably about 3 or 4 years, and his approach when it comes to marketing is a what I would call a breath of fresh air. So hopefully, in this half an hour that we're going to be speaking today, I'll be able to share that with you and hopefully get his intakes on what marketing is going to look like in 2026. But Tad, before we start, what do you think is missing in marketing today?
I think the biggest thing that's missing in marketing is the ethics piece. I think most people would attest to give lip service to a kind of shallow version of ethics. Most marketing copy I see says, well, of teachers says, well, learn how to market without being pushy or sleazy. But I find their tactics still sometimes pushy and sleazy. And when I say ethics, I think the big thing that's missing is a real commitment to getting to the truth of if this is a fit over the commitment to doing whatever it takes to get the sale. And I see in so much marketing, there's a lot of rationalization for the selfishness of I'm going to just get the sale rather than I'm going to see if we can get to the truth of if this is a fit or not. And if it's not a fit, we bless and release.
Do you think sometimes I guess what you're like the level of pushing and a lot of your work you talk about and building off what you were just discussing about ethics, do you think it comes from a level of scarcity? What if I need this person to say yes? I need, whether it's a cash flow concern or whether it's just, I need to validate my own opinion or view for this person to say yes. Do you think that's why people maybe sometimes come across in that way?
It's a good question. Why do we push? Well, I mean, I think part of it is just, we're of course we want the sale. We want to make our business work. And I think we've just come to think that that's the best way to get the need met. Let's just say there's a financial need. And we think the best way to get my need met is to push or manipulate. So, of course, this is broader than marketing. This happens in romantic relationships, happens in family and friendships, where we think, well, if I want to get my needs met, I can't ask the other person for consent. I'm just going to have to kind of I'm going to have to get what I want. I'm going to have to use some underhanded, shady tactic. But I actually don't think that's the best way, even selfishly, to get what we want. I think the best way to get what we want um, is to do the ethical approach. It's yes, do we need sales? Of course, we need sales, but it gets tricky when it's I need not just I need people to buy, but I need this person to buy. As soon as it gets personal and located on this person, I think that is a kind of scarcity trap. We are under this spell of if this person doesn't buy, it all falls apart. If this person doesn't say yes to me romantically, then that's the end of everything. And that puts then a lot of pressure on that person, on that situation, on that sale for them to say yes, rather than thinking, okay, I need people to buy. So how do I create a system? How do I create a structure that results in enough people buying? Rather than how do I come up with strategies and scripts and tactics that will get this specific person I'm talking to at any moment to buy.
Do you think it's kind of in some ways? I mean, like the thing that jumps to mind to me is the term that would probably be described as objection handling, right?
Sure.
Like this constant pressure of someone's kind of saying no, or they're not ready, or they're not the right
Right.
fit, or they're not the right fit on price, or whatever it may be, and we need to objection handle that, right? That's kind of, I guess, what's pushed into culture or pushed into sales, or there's a lot of content online talking about that. I mean, what would be your response? Would you say, yeah, that is something you can do, and if so, what maybe is that, or maybe shouldn't we do that? And is there another approach that maybe people are missing?
Well, I mean, it's interesting. The whole handling objections, it's worth taking that into sex and dating and see how it lands and sounds. Somebody wants to date you, you don't want to date them, and they start going into this intellectual assault on you of why you're wrong and it's really a good idea when you're just not feeling it at all. Um, yeah, so there can be too much pushiness, but this is the trouble. I think people obsess about, they think the real skill in sales is overcoming objections, but I think I do this often in workshops. I say, everyone put your hands together and push as hard as you can with your right hand, then grab your left wrist, pull as hard as you can. What you see is this and this. What should be seen is this and this, because I never told them to push back or to pull back, but instinctively we do. So that pushing back is the objection. Yeah. So we push them first. They push back with an objection to keep their autonomy, and then the overcoming the objections is then applying more sneakier sideways pressure to still push them. So it gets us locked in this game that nobody wins. Rather than going for overcoming objections, I would submit the best thing to do is to develop the skill and the capacity to identify and diffuse pressure when it comes up. So if you notice that somebody's feeling pressure, you say, hey, can we just time out? My intention here is to see if this is a fit. And if it's not, I might know somebody else who can be a better fit for you. But I just want to get to the truth of if there's a good match here. No pressure either way, no hard feelings if it doesn't work out. Yeah, we're trying to reduce the pressure so we can have a human conversation, not add pressure so we get caught in a pitch.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think sometimes, especially maybe when it's the reason why I bring back to the cash flow concern is 'cause I think that's the commonality when it comes to when one would want to apply that pressure. But I guess you talk about systems a lot in your work. I mean, how would you potentially, obviously don't give everything away, but I'd be curious to hear, I mean, like, how would you say to someone who's maybe thinking, okay, well, maybe I've been doing this wrong, right? Like, how would you audit your marketing? We're in the new year. There's a lot of people who are maybe looking at what they're doing and what they did last year, or maybe saying, okay, well, this is what worked, but actually maybe this is what didn't work slightly, and maybe I want to adapt things. I mean, like, what do you look for when you work with your clients and yourself, of course, when it comes to like building a systemized marketing system that creates enough demand, so not only can we of course create the demand so we can survive, but also so that we can not have that pressure situation, so we're then less likely to need to, as you say, objection handle, etc.
It's not that I don't think pressure belongs in marketing, but I think where the pressure should be put is on our own processes, not on the person we're talking to. Yeah. It's good to apply pressure to your own process and to say, does this process work? To really be rigorous about it. It's, you got a table and you're putting pressure on it to see if it is going to buckle, if the legs are strong. That's important to do. But that's where the pressure belongs, internally in our systems, not externally on the person we're talking to. When I'm looking at somebody's marketing and trying to figure out where they're at, is this going to work? There's 7 major things I look at. I call it the 7 fundamentals. The first of the base is just ethics. Are they going for the truth or are they going for the sale? Second, I look at space. Do they actually have enough room in their life? Is the business really a priority, or is it getting last priority? Are they overwhelmed with other things? Sometimes we're just too busy for our business. Sick parents, your kid's sick, or you're going through a real hard time. You may not actually have space for your business, and it's good to be honest about that. Third, do they have a clear niche? Fourth, do they have a compelling and clear point of view? Fifth, do they have a good business model and structure, including the internal administrative systems, the kind of inner systems, the inter systems of how do they stay in touch with their clients over time, and also the external systems, meaning the offers that they're going to be putting out. So is their business model solid? Do they have the hubs? Do they have relationships with the right people who can be introducing them to the right people? And then the last level of sharing of, have they identified a path, an approach, a tactic to marketing that they can actually do sustainably over time, that they're good at, that works for them?
No, I completely agree. And I guess, I mean, my next question was going to be around like content creation and why maybe I know you're a massive advocate for signature workshops, and, maybe we can touch on that as well, because that's obviously how we first worked together and etc. But I think for me, I mean, like for those who are maybe listening who are on the fence about content right now, why does content add to a marketing system to create a level, I guess, of not necessarily urgency, but an additional level of trust? Because that's the main, in my view, that's the main reason why I think you should do content semi consistently, or as consistently as you can do. And then I guess the question that leads on after that is, how does that lead to potentially doing a signature workshop or an in-person event that really deepens that connection with your prospects or clients?
I think one of the most important and under discussed principles in marketing is that of safety. making it safe for people to check us out from a distance to see if they want to approach or not, because we forget that they're in control of whether they're going to come to us or not. And I think so many sales are lost because you can't actually check the person out from a distance. I mean, I remember looking for a therapist. This is probably 10 years ago, easy. And I went to Psychology Today and I looked at the profiles. A lot of them didn't have websites, they didn't have photos. I mean, they had no niche and specialization. If I went to the website, there weren't any or many photos of them. There was no video. I couldn't get any sense of the vibe. I paid $180 for a session with a therapist. And within 3 seconds of being there, it's like, she's not the one. I could tell from her vibe. It just wasn't there. If I'd seen her in a video for 3 seconds, I would have known. So that's a drag, because she could have had somebody in that chair who would have been thrilled with her, who would have been a long-term client. So she's paying the opportunity cost of not filtering me out. So content, to me, is the long game. Content is a way that people can check you out from a distance. Like in my membership, I always ask people, how did you hear about me? How did you come here? And almost everybody says something like, well, I was following you online for years. So that's important to know. You'll have all these people silently following you, just waiting for the right opportunity, the right price, the right offer, the right moment. And if you weren't staying in touch with them in this way, then you weren't going to get the sale, because all that content builds trust. That's number one. But the second thing I'd say is I would really shift the perspective. I mean, I'm being a little pedantic on the linguistics here, but content versus context. That we can get lost in just, well, how do I put out more and more stuff? But it's good to remember, from their eyes, our clients don't actually want content from us. They don't just want more random stuff. Like, more is better in content. What they're desperate for is context as to, why am I struggling? Why am I having a hard time solving this problem? Why can't I get this result no matter what I try? That's what they want to know. They want context on their own trouble. So if your content gives context, that's great. The challenge can be that the short form content can only give a little bit of context. It's hard in 90 seconds to give the whole 30,000-foot view, which is where a signature workshop, a day-long workshop, comes in. So whether it's an hour-long online signature workshop, a 2-3 hour evening thing, a day-long something, it's helpful to give people a way to take another step closer and check you out. A little bit of risk. Maybe they give their email, they come to a live workshop to see the big picture of how it all fits together, which is, in my mind, that's the outcome. That's the intention of that. Not that I'm doing the signature workshop to get people to buy. I'm doing the signature workshop to give people enough of a taste so they can figure out on their end if I'm a fit for them or not.
No, I agree. And I think so many people sometimes I guess it comes from the ability to not want to say, hey, actually, I don't think we're the right fit on a sales call. Or when that you're working with someone, maybe it's like, actually, hey, I don't think that either maybe we're too expensive for you, or I think we're maybe a bit too overkill for you, or etc. Or the other way around. We might actually be hey, what you're expecting from us. I don't think we're the best supplier for you, and I think sometimes we don't have the confidence in ourselves, in our offer, in our ability to create demand, to be able to consistently talk about that and say, actually, no, it's okay if I don't win the sale. Or I guess maybe setting up a system so that we're actually fine longer term as well, cash flow wise as well, right? I mean, feel free to add in anything that you wish, but also, I mean, the next question I was going to ask you is, people keep posting, but they don't necessarily grow. Why do you think that is specifically? I mean, what's the cause behind that?
Oh gosh. Okay, so there's a couple things there. Yeah. So one is, uh, yeah, of course, there's the pressure. We need a process that's going to generate clients. That's true. We've really got to think through the process, because if you don't have a process that you feel confident can ethically get you clients, you will have to resort to pressure.
Yeah.
If you haven't thought through those fundamentals, if you don't really have your ethics clear, you don't have enough space to think this through strategically, you don't have a clear niche, compelling point of view, good offers that you're reaching out through hubs. If you're not doing any of those things, it just doesn't work very well. So then you still need sales. So then synthetically, steroidally, you have to kind of inject an urgency and scarcity and all these tactics to get people to buy, which they will often resent. You'll get buyer's remorse, you'll get drama, they get disappointment, and it's a bad deal. in terms of this question of why do people post but they don't grow, I think part of it is there's an algorithm, and I don't consider myself any kind of expert on social media or what's useful today. Um, but I think part of it is the format that works is not the format we normally do. So I probably actually wouldn't look to my social media as a great example. The kind of format that I'm doing, just talking to the camera, it's okay. It's stable. Every once in a while, one hits big for some reason, but it's that's an okay way to generate content. But there really is a whole formula to generating the kind of content that goes viral that people have put a lot of thought into around starting with a hook, ending with something satisfying, the use of visuals, editing, text, all that. There is an art form to it that takes a reel that might have gotten 1,000, 2,000 views to like a million or more. And so if your interest is that, there's that. The second thing is that the posting steadily like that is the long game, and I think it's probably changed. I mean, I know a woman who grew Instagram to 2 million just by writing. I don't know if that's on the table anymore. Maybe, but now there's more AI bots. There's so much AI content that people are fighting through, and that really is just content. That's no context for anybody. That's just
Mm.
sheer distraction, a lot of it. And I think a lot of people are just stepping back from social media in general. So if you want to grow your social media following, part of it is just putting out good content that really gives context that's useful. That's kind of the baseline. Second, I think, is you're formatting it and designing it well enough that it's the kind of format that would be shared. But third, I think a lot of the growth on social media doesn't come necessarily just from posting on social media. You're interviewed on a podcast, then you tell them about your link and people find you from that. You do a speaking event, people start following you from that. You email your list maybe once a year, say, hey, if you're not following me on social media, I'm there. Oh, and I didn't know he was there, and they go and follow you. It's going to come from other ways, and also ads. I mean, sometimes people just do the ads to grow their following. I recommend probably more so focus on growing your email list rather than your social media, because that's the point of the social media anyways, is to drive people to your email list. But I don't know, I'm not a total expert in that, but those are some thoughts.
No, I appreciate that. And I think, I mean, there was going to be two questions that jumped to mind. I'm so glad you mentioned email marketing, because I did want to touch on that briefly. But just quickly, I mean, do you think AI is going to be completely transformative in the respect to how a business markets in 2026?
Well, with AI, generally, you're not going to find me there. Now, I know I can't avoid using it. I am using it. We're using it right now, probably recording this. The meta ads that I place from time to time, I know AI is being used, but it's not a place you're going to find me generally. So I just feel like I got a limited amount to say. But what I will say is this: the more AI content there is, that's not just content, it's emails people are getting that are from AI bots offering them services because they saw them post something on Facebook, text messages they get because they posted something on Facebook and an AI bot found their phone number and started texting them. It's the fact that we can't even trust whether the emails, the texts, the social media posts we're seeing are coming from real human beings anymore. If this person we're seeing is a person or just an AI video, getting harder and harder to tell. So I think what's going to be happening is an immense erosion of trust. And the things that have always been true about marketing are going to become even more important. Uh, do I trust you? Are you a real person? Um, do I trust you have a good point of view? Did you come recommended by somebody who I trust? That kind of thing.
Yeah, I think I think there's a couple of ways you can look at AI in my view, right? I think you could choose to use elements of it, like Riverside has elements of AI in it, Premiere has elements of AI in it, etc. Like there's these workflows that are built throughout the processes.
Can you hold on just one sec?
Yeah, of course.
I'm so sorry. Just one sec.
No, you're all good. And for those who are listening on the live, we're
Sorry
back.
about that.
No, you're all good. Don't worry. But I mean, I think a lot of the processes as a whole is sometimes like the workflows can be really beneficial. And the other podcast I did today, we were talking about the fact that actually there's been this kind of counterculture around AI, like people pushing back against what is being deemed as AI slop, right, as a whole. And I guess like it's this kind of lazy use of AI, this lazy curation of AI. And I think that if you're gonna use AI, it should amplify and work for you, as in amplify what you would already be doing, and make you arguably maybe better or more efficient, etc. Which means you can maybe do either larger volume or better quality. Um, but the lazier aspects of AI, I think, will eventually get phased out because it isn't going to be accepted by society by the looks of it, from what we can see at the moment. But before we look to wrap up, because I know you got a dash, but how do people? Firstly, I mean, I guess this is kind of a two-pronged question. Number one, how should people like look to actually build their email list in 2026? And secondly, then what do we do once we have some data that we can then talk to? Should we go in directly for a sale, or is it still going to be that slow and steady burn? Let me add value, let me get you to trust me, and then maybe, in 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, there might be an opportunity for us to work together.
Okay, best ways to grow email lists. I mean, there's probably lots, but the two that come to mind, one, I'd say most important, signature workshops. Get in front of people, talk about what you do. There's multiple ways to do it. It could be, hey, if you come to this workshop, you'll be added to my list, but you can unsubscribe whenever you want. Second, I think that's the riskiest one. Then you could say, hey, you'll be added unless you tick this box, as you're signing up, and then you won't be on my list. And I think the most solid in terms of getting the right people on your list is you say, hey, if you want to join my email list, here's my website, go and you can sign up. And then those people are for real. They really want to be on it. But getting in front of people, talking about what you do, sharing, giving them the chance to sign up for your email list. I think that's the main thing. Also having something that they might want, a kind of opt-in. Now, something they may want, maybe just a newsletter that's on such a niche topic full of such value, they want to be on that newsletter. That's the best. That's the most important. On top of that, then there could be, some sort of offer like a starter kit. Hey, here's something, just as the ethical bribe, as it were, join my email list and you'll get this thing. But of course, a lot of people will join for that and then bounce. But then the starter kit, that kind of context that you give them may bring people back over time. And then, of course, there's just ads, doing ads that drive people. Laura Eastburn is a colleague of mine who I recommend. She does incredible work helping people grow their email list with non-transactional offers. So just like, hey, get on my list because we're gonna talk about these things here. So that's how I grow the email list, either ads or signature workshops generally, or podcast interviews. I just think those are more passive, and I don't think they work as well as getting in front of a live crowd. Once they're on your email list, I mean, I think a general thing is, so for me with this ethical marketing starter kit, when people sign up for that, there's immediately what we call the handshake offer, where it's like, hey, you're interested in this, so here's an offer. Normally you pay $140 for this, but it's $50. So save $90 on this one-time offer. And it's, for me, I just picked the issue that I knew most of my clients had, which is how do I articulate what I do? So we give them an offer, and then the rest of people join the email list. There's a series of emails they get, which all have a connection to the membership that I have. And what I'll probably do is get even more sophisticated. And anyone who gets the how do I articulate what I do offer, who buys that, there may be some other follow-up series of emails for them, helping them integrate that and use that with another offer, then to the membership, because those are probably hotter leads if they're willing to spend money. But yeah, I think the opt-in sequence that people get, the kind of email onboarding sequence of welcome to my email list, is important to really think through. I don't consider myself a particular expert on that, but I think it's good to consider how can we be building the credibility and trust during that time, give them some value. And then that email opt-in series should certainly be clear about what the next steps are, because people could otherwise be on your list for a while, not even realize you had a membership, not realize you had a mentorship program or a school you run or offers you do. And then occasionally you've got to send a solo email promoting something, not just burying it in newsletters. But the main thing is, how do I make this email list amazing? How do I make a great email newsletter that people actually want to read, that's useful for them? That's the most important thing.
Fab. And for those who've enjoyed the time we've spent together, Tad, where's best for people to reach out? Where's people to check out what you're doing? Maybe join your email list, etc.
Marketingforhippies.com is the best place. Yeah.
Fabulous. And if you were going to talk to yourself, maybe 10 years ago or 15 years ago specifically, what advice, if you were going to give advice to that person, would you give?
Get marketing coaches, get some help with your business. Don't try to be a lone wolf about it and make all the mistakes yourself. Get some help, like find somebody who's where you want to be and learn from them, so you don't make all the mistakes yourself.
Fabulous. Thank you so much for coming back and joining me. Ladies and gents, if you did enjoy this episode and would like to see more like it, make sure to come back next week for a brand new episode of What's Missing in Marketing Today. YouTube believes you'll enjoy this episode and want to subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you